again. This is Final Draft. You're listening to Everfree Radio. I'm here today with One Trick. Say hi.
Hello.
And today we have an amazing guest. We're really excited to be able to speak with her, Andrea Libman. Welcome to Everfree Radio.
Hi, thanks.
Well, and I got to start off with a very basic question that I know that you probably have had to answer a few times, which is, how did you become involved with My Little Pony?
Oh, well, I got involved quite a long time ago with the previous generations of My Little Pony. I've been involved doing the voice of Sweetie Belle for quite some time, but the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, I got called to come in for an audition, and that was that. It's not too exciting of a story.
Well, you mentioned that
I should make up something cooler, huh?
As long as it involves pirates or something, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So this pirate ship came and they held me hostage and they wouldn't let me go until I came up with two really cool voices.
And a chest full of treasure, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, so you did Sweetie Belle, and I think what the fans are calling Generation 3. Was there a difference in how you recorded for that generation of the show as opposed to the modern incarnation, the G4 incarnation?
I think, well, one of the main differences is that Friendship is Magic is one of the only productions I've worked on that's had animators in the studio with us while we're recording. And I think that really makes a huge difference with the end product because we definitely didn't have that in previous shows. And I think you can just see that in the animation. It just brings it alive because they've got their vision and they're able to communicate that with the voice actors.
Are they in there directing what you're doing, or is it more that they're there to draw from your performances? Which way does that go?
They're definitely taking part in the direction because they'll say, well, this is what I was envisioning for that scene. And then we can go from there. And a lot of times the script only says so much. And then there's the whole vision on top of that. And most times when we record something, we just go off the script and we do our best. And we don't have the people there that are saying, this is exactly what I'm picturing. And I think it just makes an incredible difference.
Well, and you definitely see that in the show. Aside from, you know, the art style itself, but the expressions in the faces of the... I mean, given that it's an animated medium, you know, it's been really surprising to me. And I think a lot of the bronies is probably one of the reasons why there are so many bronies. Just how expressive these characters are and how they're each developed separately in their own animation style in a sense. I mean, when you see your character Fluttershy, for example, you know, her scenes have a different, I don't know if aura is a word for it, but a different character to them than, say, Pinkie Pie's.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the animators are so incredibly talented. You know, we're so lucky as voice actors to be able to have such amazing talent behind the visual product because we don't have any influence over that.
Going back to that, you used to do G3 Sweetie Belle. How does it feel these days to see someone else voicing that character?
Oh, it feels great. I think Claire does an amazing job. Yeah, it's awesome.
Going back to your general career in animation voiceover work, you started at a young age from what I've read, and I wanted to ask, did you expect when you were as a kid doing these voices that it was going to be your career, or did you have other plans at one point?
I definitely had other plans. I always thought that my voice would change and that it would just be high when I was a kid probably and, you know, to have fun with that and have that as a career for as long as it lasted. And I think everyone kind of thought that I would grow out of it, but as you're listening, it never happened. So yeah, I went to university and I took civil engineering, and that was my backup plan. I guess it still is. You know, if someone kicks me in the throat, I could probably still design a bridge or something. Yeah, I guess I'm just lucky that I still sound 12. 12? What do you guys think?
You know, if you do sound 12, you sound like an awesome 12-year-old. How about that?
Oh, there you go.
You almost sound like a cartoon character. I think it's interesting that you were going into civil engineering. Was there a certain field of engineering that actually interested you? Because this is something I don't think anyone's heard before.
Well, I went into it right after high school, so I probably didn't know as much as I should have before making that kind of decision, just that I liked math and physics because I'm a real nerd. My focus was, I guess, structural, and I did a little bit of construction management type stuff.
Well, so as a math and physics nerd, then I almost imagine that one of your favorite characters in the show would be Twilight. When you were trying out for the show, did you shoot for any specific characters, say, like Twilight, knowing that she kind of shares your interest?
Yes, I did. I did read for Twilight. I mean, when you're auditioning, you're just trying to sort of do as much as you can, right, to have the best chances.
I was going to say, did you expect to get the characters that you got, or were you expecting a different character?
I try and not have any expectations after I do an audition, because if you do, you will drive yourself crazy. So once you go in there, you do the best that you can, you do what you do, and then you just kind of have to forget about it and then just take it as it comes. So that's my philosophy. Otherwise, I just go completely bonkers thinking about that type of thing. So no expectations.
I think that's probably a safe approach. I think I heard someone one time say, if you don't have any expectations, then you can never be disappointed, right?
That's true.
But then again, I think that might have been Vince Vaughn in a movie. I don't know. I don't know if he's really a reliable source.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so once you landed the roles in the show, you quickly were cast, I guess, into two extremely different roles, Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie. And I wanted to ask, I would love to lump these together, but I can't. I wanted to ask you first, how did you develop Pinkie Pie as a character? I mean, I know that they may have given you some clues, but she is just this brilliant form of crazy that I don't know if is replicable.
Oh, thank you. That's a huge compliment. Well, you know what? They do kind of go together, because how they really were developed was trying to get a really clear separation with the two voices so that they were as far apart as possible. And I think that's what pushed Pinkie Pie to be so wacky crazy, is just getting that separation, and then just really the polar opposite of Fluttershy, just so sweet and even and slower paced. I think why they're such extremes is to try and separate the two voice prints.
How do you get such inspiration for a character like Pinkie Pie being so out there in, just in outer space? She's so crazy.
Well, the writing is pretty awesome. They put her in these situations and they come up with just awesome lines for her. And they definitely had that idea. I go nuts. I always figure, okay, well, they can pull me back if it's too crazy. And what's so wonderful and exciting about this show is that they don't pull me back. They just let me go. So, as soon as I started figuring that out, I think she just got crazier and crazier.
It's outstanding. Of the two characters, which do you feel your most, your personality most matches?
I get asked that a lot, but I really don't think I'm like either of them. As Final Draft was mentioning before, I'm really just a nerd, so probably more of a Twilight sparkle.
Awesome.
Well, and would you say then maybe that these characters are different ends of the extreme, maybe for your own character? I mean, Fluttershy on the one hand, so ridiculously introverted and shy. Pinkie Pie, the very definition of extroverted. It seems like maybe all of us fall somewhere in between.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us fall somewhere in between, but I think it's pretty amazing meeting fans that really identify with one of those two characters, and probably especially Fluttershy. A lot of people are introverted, and, it's fine to be introverted, and you can still have friends, and you can still be who you are, and it's so cool to meet fans that just say, oh, I identify with Fluttershy, and, it's just helped me gain my own personal confidence. I don't have to be extroverted. I don't have to be outgoing. I can just be who I am, and I really like that message.
Well, and the last question I had for you about Pinkie Pie and her characterization is, when we talked to Lee Tokar a few months ago, he was mentioning how, yeah, another one of these names that everyone knows. He was talking about how when he was developing his Sea Serpent character, the one that the fans have dubbed Stephen Magnet, that he was asked to keep pushing the character as far as he could. I'm wondering if they asked you to push Pinkie Pie further, or if there was some limit to the crazy that you had to put on there. She's such an extreme character, and I think is awesome. I'm wondering whether or not there was a cap to that energy that they put on there, or are you just constantly encouraged to make her crazier?
There definitely is a cap, and the cap is clarity. So we can go as far as we can, and I'm able to talk pretty darn fast, but if we can't get the words across, then it's too much. So it's always push, 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 but then it's like, oh, actually, we have no idea what the heck you just said. Okay, let's bring it back. Let's slow it down. So usually what you hear, the final product, is probably a bit of a slower version than what I started with, if you can believe that.
I have to ask this then, because I think every fan in the universe right now is wanting to hear this. Can you give us an example of an over-the-top, way too fast Pinkie Pie rant? Is that something you can do, or?
Well, let me try. So Pinkie Pie was going to talk really fast. She was going to go really, really fast. You wouldn't even understand anything. You should sing.
That was amazing.
Wow. That was fantastic.
Yeah, he can't stand it. Doesn't really, the scene can't really jive.
Now we've seen that Pinkie Pie has a polar opposite also, the Pinkamena. And she's kind of a depressed version of Pinkie Pie where her hair goes all flat and she gets all sad. How does that make you feel to turn a character around 180 degrees like that?
That's really tricky because it's so hard when that happens in a script and it's just totally out of character. You want to keep true to the character, but you're trying to capture this different side. I think it's really, really challenging.
There's another example of one of your characters switching her personality traits in an episode, and that's when Fluttershy gets evil in the Discord episodes. I have to say, when I heard that for the first time, when I saw that episode, I thought that must have been so much fun for you to voice because she just gets so snarky and mean. Like, she puts a bucket on Twilight's head, she's stomping on her garden. That must have been a lot of fun for you.
Definitely. It's so fun to be mean and pretend. For voiceover, not in real life.
Hear that, kids? Take a lesson in friendship from Fluttershy.
Looking to the other cast members, we've asked this of the other cast members that we've interviewed. Recently, we interviewed Ashley Ball, and we've talked to a few others as well about the dynamic within the recording studio. Everyone we've talked to has said that it's just this really positive, creative, uplifting kind of dynamic. And I was going to ask if that's the case for you, and then also if that's something you find in other shows that you've worked on.
Well, I'm sorry to tell you that everyone's been lying.
Oh, no.
Dun, dun, dun.
They're all evil, aren't they?
Just kidding. No, I agree. It's the cast is just full of phenomenal, not only actors, but people. And it's easy to be around people you admire and respect. And it's awesome. It's definitely free, do whatever you want, be as crazy as you want. And we support each other and we laugh when it's funny. And that always really helps. And compared to other shows, I guess it just depends. But this one's definitely one of the most fun shows to work on. And with the cast, it just doesn't get much better than who we have. So.
And you've worked with a lot of these voice actors on other shows, so it's pretty much just like getting together and doing the same thing with some different voices.
That's true, except every show is very different, and I think this show in particular is so unique that even though it's people you may know, they're coming up with new voices, and the storylines are so unique and so different that it's people you know, so you feel comfortable, but at the same time, it's just a totally different production. I guess it's the best of both worlds.
One thing that we've heard from a couple of voice actors, apparently Tabitha St. Germain brings in some cookies to the recording sessions at times, and I just wanted to know whether you've partaken in these delectables yourself.
My goodness. Yes, of course. Always. You know what's really sad is that I work with Tabitha so much that I rely on her. Like, I won't bring my own snacks. So if I'm in the studio today and I'm hungry and for some reason she's not there, I'm like, oh, wow, I really depend on her. So it's bad. She takes care of all of us, Cookies. Nowadays, there's banana bread. We're so spoiled by her.
Does she do some baking then, or is it just like, did she just bring this stuff in and just happens to be there?
She picks it up, but she goes to always like the best bakeries, and it's always just the most delicious stuff.
Well, and we're really hoping to get a chance to speak with her at some point soon, because, she just does incredible work. She must be kind of an inspiration for all you guys. She's brilliant, yeah. Well, okay, so I wanted to ask a more general question that I know that a lot of bronies out there listening want to hear. What have you seen of the online fandom? What have you seen of the brony community? Obviously, you've been to a couple of these conventions now, and you probably have run into your fair share of t-shirted individuals. But I just wanted to know what your impression was of the community and really how you found out about it. I think we all found out about it sort of in studio while we were recording. I remember one day coming in and Jason, the animation director, is like, oh, there's all these people online who like the show, and we're kind of like, wow, what are you talking about? And didn't really believe him. And then he's like, yeah, they're called bronies. And I was kind of, oh, okay, whatever. I thought maybe it was a handful of people. I had no idea that it was this huge
awesome fandom. It was just amazing. So, and then you kind of, okay, I'm going to poke around, do a little Google here, see what's going on. I have seen a few things, but I have to be careful what I click on now. People send stuff, but I never know if it's going to make me smile or frown. So.
Yeah, that is the danger of the internet, I think.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
We steer clear of those parts of the internet.
We do indeed.
Yes. What is your overall reaction to the sheer volume of the community that's out there? I mean, it's got to be kind of surprising that you're being asked to do interviews and show up to conventions for a show such as My Little Pony. Not that it's any small production whatsoever, but it does have to be a little surprising.
Definitely surprising. I mean, a lot of voice actors do conventions, but it's usually the ones that are involved in more gritty stuff, like Transformers or man shows. So everything that I do has always been for kids, and kids aren't allowed on the internet, so they can't tell you how much they like the show. And you might meet a kid, like I did Dragon Tales, so there's a lot of kids that love that show. But, you meet them and their mom goes, oh, this is the voice of Emmy. And then they start crying because you don't look like the cartoon. So that's my previous experience with any sort of fan. So it's unbelievable. It's so cool to be able to talk to fans and have people say, oh, I loved it when you did this. And that was a cool choice. It's like, I've never had that before. So it's really cool.
Well, that's got to be a really positive reinforcement when you go back in to record later, I should imagine. A lot of the people we've talked to have said that, one of the reasons that they've kept on with the show has just been that kind of fan support that they haven't gotten elsewhere. Would you say that's kind of true for yourself as well? Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's just so cool. Do you watch the show yourself? I mean, do you ever sit down, turn on TV, or go on the internet and just see the episodes? Or do you kind of catch them when you get a chance to?
I catch them when I get a chance to, but I'm trying to be better. I really don't like listening to myself.
What?
But well, do you?
Are you kidding me? I think every fan...
Absolutely not.
Oh, you're asking whether we like to listen to ourselves. I thought you were saying... Yeah,
I like to listen to yourself.
Never.
I'm not going to admit to it.
Maybe if I had a velvet voice like you.
My voice is anything but velvet.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, it's like listening to yourself on the answering machine, right? So that's how I feel about that. But the animation is so unbelievable. It's just gorgeous that I can't resist. And I love listening to everyone else, of course. And now I kind of have to, because then you're going to ask me a question like, oh, this happened, and I got to know. So...
Well, hopefully we won't quiz you too hard on the details of the plot of the show. I think that's unfortunately one thing that some fans do is conflate the actors with the writers. I actually want to mention that. Blah, blah, blah. I think I've heard Pinkie Pie do that once or twice. Mm-hmm. That would make a great answering machine, I'm just going to say. I would love that. Can you imagine? Just, somebody calls and you just hear blah.
I can just imagine my boss, the man who oversees $1 million hotels, getting that as my voicemail.
So you mentioned in the past that voice actors enjoy making disgusting or goofy noises. Is there a favorite goofy noise that you've had to make for a show?
Well, I mean, we all like to burp.
Is that a skill that you have to learn as a voice actor, how to force burp?
Well, I would say about only 50% can burp.
Are you
like it's
wow?
Well, can you guys burp?
I can't.
It's not like some people just can and some people just can't.
I don't think I could force.
I know I can't. I can say that my brother can and has recited the alphabet for me several times in that fashion. And
oh goodness.
And he's an obnoxious kid.
My goodness.
Your characters have gotten some interesting fan reputations about them. I wanted to quick ask your impressions of these just because I didn't know whether or not you had encountered them. First off, Pinkie Pie has gotten a reputation of breaking the fourth wall and just defying the laws of physics. And I wanted to know what your take on that was.
I don't really know too much about it. Seems cool. Lame answer.
No, it's fine.
Cartoon physics is always cool.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, her character, just generally, like, you'll find these images on the internet of her breaking out of a computer screen or addressing the audience or...
I have a friend who works for Google, and he sent me something that Google hires, or they reward hackers for breaking through their software. But then the hacker that won the big prize, and it was, I don't know, $1 million or something, was called themselves Pinkie Pie.
That's awesome.
Oh, yes. I did see that one, and they had Pinkie Pie up in the browser.
Yes.
That was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's part of the whole thing, breaking through the fourth wall. Is there a specific work of fan art or fan music or fan animation that you've had a chance to see that really sticks out in your mind? Is there something that really appealed to you that you've seen from the fan community?
I've seen lots of really cool stuff. Part of it is that I'm definitely not a visual artist, so when I see what people are able to do, I really appreciate it because there's no way I could ever do that. And I've seen awesome stuff. Music, I don't listen to it that much because it often includes my voice in it, which doesn't sound good to me.
Well, actually, come to think of it, I was going to ask about what your impression was of, I think her name is Shannon, who sings for Pinkie Pie in the show. When you hear her rendition of Pinkie Pie in musical form, is that something that you can listen to then, or does it sound too similar to your character?
As long as it's not me, I'm cool with it.
But the pet song was so good.
It really was.
Oh, I'm glad you think so.
So are you saying then because you sing for Fluttershy that you have a hard time listening to it?
Definitely. I can hear all the little imperfections, and I'm a perfectionist, so I'm thinking, I should have done this, or you can't help it, right?
That was probably one of the songs that really opened my eyes and made me realize that the production value of the show has severely gone up over its course, and just having this back and forth between Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy, it was just absolutely amazing. And just being able to pick out the errors in it, I'm like, oh my god. So crazy. I would love it, honestly.
I believe that's what we call disbelief right there.
Yep.
Well, so would you say then that you look forward to singing the parts for the show, or are you more, again, just you do it and then you don't want to hear it?
I'm always looking forward to hearing what Daniel's come up with. His tunes are so original. It's really exciting to hear something for the first time and go through it. But they're also really challenging. So I do look forward to it because it's a challenge and it's fun. And usually it's just awesome stuff he's written. And especially like a song like that, it's so fun to collaborate with someone, especially Ashley. So
she's an incredible musician all around. Aside from just what she does in the show, with Hey Ocean. And it was funny when we were talking to her a few days ago, she said, I can't play any instruments. It's like, what are you even talking about? I've seen you on stage with a flute and a xylophone,
See, a liar.
She's a liar. Yeah, she's a bad liar. Well, okay, so, getting back to Daniel and his music, we just recently saw the grand season finale, the two-parter that was just chock full of new songs, and I wanted to know what your impression was of that episode because it's really created waves in the fandom.
Good waves?
Very good waves.
Or bad?
Fantastic waves.
Yeah.
Good. It's so fun. So many animated series don't have a proper finale or a big lead up or a two-part episode. It's so fun to do stuff like that. Yeah, it's awesome. There's actual suspense, and to have a big season finale and people watching it, it feels great to be a part of that. And I think it was an amazing episode. So,
were you at all surprised at how big the Hub and Hasbro made the finale with Tori Spelling and the party that they did in New York and newspaper and all that?
Yeah, I was so excited. They're like, you have to come into the studio and here's a script and Tori Spelling's in it. I'm like, what? So cool.
Well, I remember watching that in between and hearing Pinkie Pie go, "Hi, Tori." I was like, what?
Yeah, that's right. If only she was there with me. Would have been even better.
Well, she was somewhere across the animation divide, I guess.
Yeah.
Because there is one of those, right? Because that made perfect sense.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, okay, so you currently are working on My Little Pony. Are you working on any other shows presently?
Yes. I'm working on Pac-Man.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, we've heard rumblings about that from Lee Tokar, that was a show that was getting put together. Are they actually now voicing it?
Yeah.
Can you reveal who your character is going to be?
I hope so. I'm going to say it. I'm Cylindria. I don't know what I can really and can't say, but I know I'm allowed to say we're working on it. I checked. It's a really cool show. Really awesome cast, cool stories, and hopefully it'll look good too. So,
is this a follow-up to the previous Pac-Man show that was on long ago?
I don't know.
Is there anything you can say about Cylindria or the character, or are you just you're limited?
I can say that she's round.
Round is a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, okay, are there any other upcoming projects that you'd like the fans to know about?
I think I mentioned before, but I'm also working on Maya the Bee.
Well, and that was an old 70s show, too. So is this a complete remake?
Yeah, it's a remake, and it's the same show and the same spirit and the same kind of stories. Really, for kids and fun, cute.
I have to admit that I knew nothing about Maya until like 2 hours ago. I'm ashamed.
I knew nothing about Maya until I auditioned for it. For some reason, I didn't grow up with it. Some people did, and some people feel really passionate about it. And when you watch the old shows, they're really amazing. They're really cute, and I missed it too, so don't feel bad.
What other kinds of shows did you grow up with that maybe they inspired you a little bit to create these characters?
Well, let's see. I think my favorite show growing up was Zoobly Zoo.
Oh, I watched that.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I watched that.
My brother and I used to basically run home at lunchtime so that we could catch Zoobly Zoo. And then what's really cool is that a few years later, I started doing Madeline. And the director of Madeline and Miss Clavel, the voice of Miss Clavel and Genevieve, was the wonderfully talented Stevie Valance. And then one day it came out that she was on Zoobly Zoo, and I basically lost my mind.
Oh, man.
Starstruck.
Wow.
I remember Zoobly Zoo. I was 4 at the time, and I just remember anthropomorphic animals, but I also remember enjoying it, so I don't know. It seems like one of those shows that kind of acclimates you, though, to that kind of cartoonish sort of thing. Well, so did you watch any other kind of cartoons, though, when you were younger? I mean, was there any kind of character references that you've used in your own characterizations in your own work?
Not knowingly. I mean, I'm sure everything you watch goes into what you do, right, subconsciously, but I just work sort of more with what I have, and my voice is unique and high, so I kind of do what I do with that. And I mean, I'm sure I am taking everything that I've ever seen and subconsciously copying it, but can't think of anything.
Well, and I could just definitely say that your Pinkie Pie character is something that, as when I was first watching the show, it was surprising to me. I mean, you see her first scene in the episode is where she just gasps at Twilight and then disappears. And I remember that was one of the moments that made me think, wow, this show is different. It was kind of unusual. Usually a character, when he or she would be introduced, would try and explain themselves. No, Pinkie Pie just and just runs.
I'm nodding. You can't see me, but I'm nodding. Right.
Do you find that voicing Pinkie Pie or voicing Fluttershy in the show, I mean, both of those characters actually are somewhat defined by their utterances. I mean, Pinkie Pie makes a lot of these, high-pitched, squeals or gasps or giggles, snorts, and all those great things. Fluttershy makes a lot of these eeps or whispers or whatever. Was that something you were surprised by in the script, or is that something that you see in other shows that you've worked on as well?
Definitely not to that extent, not as specific as in this show, I think. All the characters in the show are just so defined. Like, I think that's what really is so appealing about the show, is that the characters are, they have their real isms, right? And it's like real life in a wacky way.
Well, have you had to practice then those kinds of utterances to perfect them? I mean, if you're, as you say, you're a bit of a perfectionist, have you actually spent the time to perfect those gasps or those meeps?
I want to say yes so that you'll think I'm a hard worker.
Well, we can tell them that you said yes.
But no, for me, when I'm in a session, I don't like to read the script too closely because I kind of want to let it happen. And I want to be able to play off the other characters and kind of just see what comes out. So I definitely don't practice because I think a better performance comes from spontaneity. But
yeah,
me, don't tell the directors.
Well, I think with Pinkie Pie, it's got to be spontaneity.
Yeah. I was going to say, with Pinkie Pie, you would kind of have to be spontaneous because she doesn't come off as a scripted character.
Yeah, and sometimes it's almost better to not have studied your lines or the script because you might read something a different way, and it may not even be as it was intended by the writers, but what you've done, maybe it just works, maybe it's funnier, it's surprising. I like to leave room for that. So
do you find that in the scripts now for Pinkie Pie especially, but also for Fluttershy, that maybe they have a little improv notation, just squeals or something, and then maybe some kind of note like extended or something like that? Or do they actually try to specifically script each noise that the character makes?
I think it's really, the noises aren't scripted. It's more, it'll be a description of what's happening, and then you react to that. The noises are from what you may think from reading it, and then maybe the directors have an idea.
A lot of your other voice actors do roles on television shows as themselves. Did you ever think that you might end up in a role like that?
No thanks. You mean on camera work?
Yeah, we have Nicole Oliver, doing what was the last movie she did? I forget what it was now. Oh my goodness, I feel so terrible.
I think she did a sequel to The Witness, I think.
She was just doing Supernatural.
Yeah, and she did Supernatural.
Yeah, she's a movie star. I did on-camera work when I was younger. It was a really great time as a young person, and I'm just not interested these days.
Well, and I think I saw this, and please, I keep finding out that IMDb and Wikipedia are completely wrong. But on your resumes that are posted online, it says that you were even in the movie The Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
As the voice of the doll.
Oh, it was the doll. I was trying so hard to remember what that was.
Yeah, it was the doll.
Have you had to voice any other toys in your time? I mean, I'm just curious now.
Not next to Arnold like that. I mean, that's pretty cool. I've done voices for actual toys, like where you push the button and it goes A, B, C. I've done lots of those. Oh, yeah.
Any favorite toys that people can hear your voices in?
I don't know. I mean, because they digitize it, right? So once they're done with your voice, it doesn't really sound like you anymore. I know I used to do a lot for VTech, so their toys.
About coming to a app store near you, the Pinkie Pie GPS directions.
Oh, awesome. That's a great...
It always leads you to a bakery.
Go right! No left! No right! No left! Okay, stop!
Oh, man.
Fantastic.
That's amazing.
Everyone be lost. And if it was Fluttershy, turn right. Just, if you want. It's like, what? Can't even hear you.
Wow. I think I want to add those to my phone now.
So, Andrea, are you going to be appearing at any conventions over the summer or any meetups or anything like that that people can look forward to see you at?
Yes. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be in Calgary at Oda Fest. And in June, I'm going to be in Anaheim at AM2Con.
All right. Well, bronies, you heard it. You know where to go. But be nice.
No, I welcome you.
Be nice and she'll be nice too, right?
Always. That's a motto for life.
All right. Well, Andrea Libman is the voice for Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. And it's been an absolute honor speaking with you, and it's been a lot of fun.
It's fantastic.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. This has been Final Draft.
And this is One Trick.
And you have been listening to Everfree Radio.